Alright, so we're picking up where we left off from last time. We are on Genesis 38. About this time, Judah left home and moved to Adullam, where he stayed with a man named Hira. There he saw a Canaanite woman, the daughter of Shul, and he married her. When he slept with her, she became pregnant and gave birth to a son, and he named the boy And she became pregnant again and gave birth to another son, and she named him Onam. And she gave birth to a third son, and she named him Shelah. At the time of Shelah's birth, they were living in Kizim. And in the course of time, Judah arranged for his first son, to marry a young woman named Tamar. But was a wicked man in the Lord's sight, so the Lord took his life. And then Judah said to his brother Onam, "Go and marry Tamar, our in-law, like our law requires from your brothers. Like the law requires of a man whose brother has died. You have to produce an heir for your brother." But Onam was not willing to have a child who was not his own heir. So he did whatever. So whenever he had intercourse with his brother's wife, he spilled the semen on the ground, and to prevent her from having children, when a child who would belong to his brother. And it says, "But the Lord considered this evil for Onam to deny a child to his dead brother. So the Lord took Onam's life too." Then Judah said to Tamar, his daughter-in-law, "Go back to your parents' home and remain a widow until my son Shelah is old enough to marry you." But Judah really didn't intend that because he was afraid that Shelah would also die, like his two other brothers. So Tamar went back to live at her father's home. Some years later, Judah's wife died. After a time of mourning was over, Judah and his friend Hira, the Adullamite, went to Timnah to supervise the shearing of the sheep. Someone told Tamar, "Look, your father-in-law is going up to Timnah to shear the sheep." Tamar was aware that Shelah had grown up, but no arrangements had been made for her to come and marry him. So she changed out of her widow's clothes and changed herself into a veil to disguise herself. Then she sat beside the road on the entrance in the village of Enam. It says, while the road, which is on the road to Timnah. Judah noticed her and thought she was a prostitute, so she had her face covered. So she didn't notice her because she had her face covered. So he stopped and proposed to her, "Let me have sex with you." It says he did not realize he was talking to his own daughter-in-law. "How much will you pay me to have sex?" Tamar asked. "I'll send you a young goat of my flock," Judah promised. "But what will you give me to guarantee that you will send the goat?" she asked. It says, "What kind of guarantee do you want?" he replied. She answered, "Leave me your identification seal and its cord and your walking stick you are carrying." So Judah gave them to her, and he had intercourse with her, and she became pregnant. Afterwards, he went back home and took off her veil and put her widow's clothes on as usual. Later, Judah's friend Hira, the Adullamite, took a young goat to the woman he picked to pick up the things that he had given her with his guarantee. But Hira couldn't find her, so he asked the men who lived there, "Where can I find the shrine prostitute who was sitting beside the road in the entrance to Enam?" "We've never had a shrine prostitute here," they replied. So Hira returned to Judah and told him, I couldn't find her anywhere, and the men in the village claimed that they don't have a shrine prostitute there." "Then let her keep the things I gave her," Judah said. I sent a young goat as we agreed, but we couldn't find her. We'd be the laughing stock of the village if we went back to look for her." About 3 months later, Judah was told that Tamar, his daughter-in-law, had acted like a prostitute, and now she had become pregnant. "Bring her out here. Let her burn," Judah demanded. But as they were taking her out to kill her, she sent this message to her father-in-law. "The man who owns these things made me pregnant. Look closely. Whose seal and cord and walking stick are these?" Judah recognized him immediately and said, "She is more righteous than I am, because I didn't arrange for her to marry my son Shelah." And Judah never slept with Tamar again. When the time came for Tamar to give birth, it was discovered that she was carrying twins. While she was in labor, one of the babies reached out his hand, and the midwife grabbed it and tied a scarlet string around the child's wrist, announcing, "This one came out first." But then he pulled back his hand and out came his brother. What? The midwife exclaimed. How did you break out first? So they named him Perez. Then the baby with the scarlet string on the wrist was born, and they named him Zerah. And we're going to stop there, and this is Genesis 38:30. And then we'll be back. The next reading will be Genesis 39, which will have more of the story of Joseph. Okay, thanks, guys.